Thank you so much for joining me on another episode of Why I Love Flagler County, your local podcast spotlighting local businesses and local residents on what they love about being a part of Flagler County. So today I'm really excited to have my guest, Mr. John, with us today. John, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's been a long time coming. I've been busy. You've been busy, so it's
Yes.
finally good to hook up and talk.
Yeah, John and I are part of my dad's group with the Millionaire Mindset series. So we see each other pretty often, as well as we're a part of BNI together. So it's one of those things where you see each other so often. You're like, yeah, we've probably done a podcast. And then you sit and you're like, I haven't interviewed John. And John's topic is too fun to miss up on an opportunity to talk about. So we'll get to that in a second. But first, John, why don't you kick us off and tell me a little bit about your journey coming here to Palm Coast, coming here to Flagler?
Yeah, so back in like 2005, I was in the fire department. I was getting ready to retire.
Uh-huh.
I was a battalion chief,
Uh-huh.
and we started looking, saying we don't want to stay down South Florida. It was just too busy. So many people down there. So we started looking, and this is really a funny story. We actually found a place on the West Coast. It was a double trailer on the water on the saltwater canal, goes right to the ocean, to the Gulf. And we were made a purchase, so we made an offer, and Hurricane Charlie hit and destroyed it.
Mm.
So we had to go to Plan B, and we started looking, and I just started looking up the map, and I found Palm Coast, and it had saltwater canal, and that's what we wanted. So we went up, looked at 10 homes, found one, bought it, and spent the next 2 years remodeling it. And I retired in 2007 on
Mhm.
March 27th.
Oh,
And on April 1st, we moved up here. That's how
wow.
everything just went perfect.
That's crazy. It's so interesting to see the timing of things and how like you have one plan and then, divine intervention, God comes in and he's like, "No, we're gonna do it this way." And then you're like, "Okay, I guess I'm here for the ride."
Yeah, and I think overall it is definitely God's will, because the West Coast, I come to find out, it's just there's so many issues with the no-see-um bugs and mosquitoes and stuff. And this place we fell in love with, and we love it here. We love
Yeah.
the city. We love the county. We love everything about
Yeah. I'm
it.
actually going to Tampa a little bit later today. I'm gonna go see my friend for the weekend, and I do love seeing her, but Tampa is a scary place to drive. So I completely
Yes.
understand what you're talking about.
Yeah,
They have their pros and they have their cons, just like everywhere else we live, right? So
absolutely.
it's just surveying which ones you prefer. But I would love for you to talk a little bit about that transition of being a firefighter and now doing cruise planning, vacation planning, and becoming a travel agent.
So yeah, I was a fireman for 25 years, a paramedic.
Wow.
And when I retired, uh, along with that, during the fire department, I also deployed to disasters. So
Mm.
I'm what's called an operations section chief. So when there's a big disaster in the United States, um, the government sends federal responses. So I work directly for Health and Human Services. So when there is a disaster, we deploy in early. We figure out what's going on with the medical and health infrastructure. Then we bring medical teams in that are federal employees, and we set up, basically they're like MASH units. You remember MASH? That you probably don't remember it, but I didn't think so. Uh,
Sorry.
but they're portable units. They're intense, and then we set up basically an emergency room outside,
Mhm.
middle of nowhere. So I started doing that, and I just fell in love with it. So I've been to every major disaster since 1996 that has happened in this country. So I've been to, Katrina, Rita, Charlie, all the hurricanes, tornadoes in Joplin. I've been to Haiti for the
Oh,
earthquake.
wow.
Yeah, and my last big deployment was in Hawaii for the fires. I had to
Oh,
go.
yeah.
So we bring these teams in. So what I found is every time I would come back, I was just so beat, because you're working 12 to 18 hours a day, 7 days a week until it's done. So I joined this travel agent online and started doing it. And I found I really enjoyed doing the research and planning people's vacations. I mean, because it's so important to get that time off. So once I realized I liked it, I had the opportunity to buy a franchise from Cruise Planners. My company is actually iCommand
Okay.
but I am part of the Cruise Planners, which is a nationwide one of the Fortune 500 companies,
Oh,
and we sell a lot of travel. So I dedicated my site and my agency to really servicing first responders, especially after disasters. I know so many people that call me afterwards and just get me somewhere, get me on an island. I don't want to talk to nobody. So that's what kind of brought me into travel. And now I've expanded to not only first responders, but my goal is just to get the best pricing possible for anybody that travels. And if I don't and they find something better, I tell them go with it.
right.
I can't beat it. I'm there to get the best price. So that's
Yeah.
why I want people to go on vacation and enjoy themselves and not
Yeah.
worry about the paperwork and the
Right.
passports. I take care of all that.
Yeah. And you recently helped me with my travels this summer. I'm gonna go to London, which is really exciting, and it's a huge like plan. Taylor Swift's new album just came out, and that's what I'm gonna go do for my 21st birthday.
Awesome.
I'm genuinely surprised that she doesn't come up more in my interviews. I think it's just like I'm so professional that I don't bother bringing it up. But this is the second time this week it has been brought up. But yeah, you did an amazing job of helping me answer a lot of my questions too. My family is very like specific when it comes to packing. So I was like, I want to make sure I know exactly what I'm getting into when it comes to baggage. And he was really helpful with answering all my questions, even when they
And
probably, I'm sure, sounded ridiculous to you.
and you guys, no, nothing's ridiculous, believe me. And you guys are going on a cruise in two
We
weeks.
are going on a cruise
So
in two
yeah,
weeks, which will be very exciting. I haven't been on a cruise in a while. Um, yeah, it'll be fun. Just kind of seeing what's going on. My parents were just on a cruise a few months ago, actually. They're cruising more than me, clearly.
yeah,
And then you're also planning for the Millionaire Mindset group here, for their cruise coming up in December, which will be really, really exciting. We were just planning and talking about it this morning of who are we looking to have on and stuff. So that'll be a lot of fun as well.
yeah, I agree.
Um, not to sound like super nerdy for like 2 seconds, but it's so fun to hear you talk about your stories about, being, a paramedic, the firefighter, and then obviously all that you're doing for natural disasters, which, thank you so much for helping out with all of that. That's not, like you mentioned, that's not easy work. But me and my friends recently got into the show. Have you heard the show 911?
Yes.
So me and my friends have recently got into it, and they come up with the craziest stuff that they do there. I'm like, this is bonkers, bananas.
And,
Like,
and a lot of it is based off of actual calls. So it's
I
pretty
believe
interesting.
it. Because they live in LA too, so I feel like
Yes.
it makes it more believable when they say the darndest things. Like, I think last night I was watching an episode where like a shark was on the freeway. Just
Possible.
amazing stuff that they
Yeah,
come up with
it
in that
is.
writer's room.
And you have
Um,
to deal with it. I mean, you have to deal with it.
they're great.
That's what
That
the
team is
job
great.
is.
Yeah. Well, I would love for you to talk a little bit, like really quick. Um, so many people are always traveling or they're thinking about traveling. What is like a quick travel tip that you might have or a travel hack that maybe some people don't know?
Well, the first thing I'll say is, if at all possible, use a travel agent because we have access to things that you don't. You go on
Mm,
Carnival Cruise Line's website, you see what they want you to see. When I go on Carnival's travel advisor site, I see a lot of different things.
mm,
So my first advice, use a travel agent. It does not cost anything more. If the
mm,
price says 2,000, it's $2,000. The only difference is if I book your cruise, the company has to give me commission out of that money. If I don't, they just keep it. So
mm.
it's kind of a win-win for me. I mean, they make enough money.
Sure.
Uh, I mean, they survived the COVID and they've survived all that, so they're making billions of dollars. So they could take care of us travel agents, but it doesn't cost you anything.
Hmm.
Another really important is when you travel, you have to have travel insurance.
Mm,
God forbid something happens on your trip. You do not want to be stuck on an island or a ship in the middle of the sea
sure.
or in Europe and have no way to get home. To fly
Hmm.
home in a like a medical transport plane would be $500,000.
Wow.
I mean, it's that kind of money, and the prices of the insurance are not bad. I mean, it's really cheap, and God forbid something happens, you have it there. Or if you miss a flight, and they have to rebook and there's a fee for that. You could claim that on your insurance, or your luggage doesn't show up. They cover that.
Hmm.
These are the things that I would say, if you're going to travel, use a travel agent and buy insurance. No matter where you get the insurance from, buy insurance, because you
Hmm.
do not want to be caught in a bad situation at sea.
Definitely. And I'm so glad that you brought up, I know a lot of people have kind of that fear when it comes to travel agents or any expert who's giving them advice is like, how much more will this cost me? And I think my honest answer to that is sometimes it's worth shelling out extra money. I'm not saying even for you, like that's the case for you.
Right.
But it's definitely better to have someone's second opinion, especially when they're an expert. They've been doing it as long as you have, John. You've seen stuff around the block. You know what could come up, what questions might come up, what might, worries or good things, bad things. You can give the proper advice. And I know a lot of travel agents, they're happy to just give you a few numbers and a few console and numbers just completely for free. And I'm not necessarily advertising that, but I know a lot of
No,
people. Yeah,
it
yeah, just
is. It's
yeah.
true.
There
It's
you
true.
go. Okay,
It doesn't,
perfect.
yeah,
Yeah.
we would never charge for listen, it comes down to this. Our job is to get you the best price on the cruise or trip
Mm-hmm.
that you want to go, and we want you to be safe and we want you to return and not
Yes.
have to worry about anything else.
Yeah, I don't know if my dad shared the story with you, but me and my family had gone to India in 2020 in February, and we were coming back the week of March, end of February, beginning of March. We were coming back the week lockdowns were starting, and planes were stopping from India to America. Planes were stopping from India to anywhere. Planes were not leaving their countries anymore. Things were starting to go on lockdown. We had a travel agent who was a close friend of ours, and because we were able to contact her, we were able to get answers on what flights we could take and how we could get home safely. And we got home, and then we got home on Saturday morning and or Sunday morning, and everything shut down on Monday. And it's because we had someone in our back pocket cheering us on, helping us, answering our questions, finding out the appropriate answers because she had access to things that, we couldn't find on Google, that we were able to make it home. Because God forbid we got stuck in India during the pandemic, during lockdowns, when
Oh,
early COVID, it would be hard for everyone.
scary, scary. Yeah, that would be scary. And
Yeah.
again, that's what it's for. And that's the reason you've got to be prepared. You got to have a plan B when you travel. You just don't know. You go on with a family and kids, and they get on one of the attractions now, the slides or something, falls off, breaks a leg in the middle of the ocean. These are things you're going to have to deal with. But if you don't have a way to deal with it and it's coming out of your pocket, because the one thing with cruise or when you're traveling, you've got to pay up front. They're not treating you without that credit card. That's the way it works.
Yeah.
So and you basically lose that money. I
Right.
mean, they're treating your injury or whatever it is, but when it comes down to, you have to pay for that. With
Yeah.
insurance, for the amount it costs, it's well worth it, especially if,
Gotcha.
God forbid, you have to be flown off a ship or whatever. That's big money, and you don't want to take that liability on.
Yeah.
Not on
Definitely.
vacation.
No, when
No.
that's supposed to be so stress-free.
Yes.
Definitely. Well, John, thank you so much for coming on and sharing a lot of your expertise and a lot of the great things that you have done in the past, you're continuing to do for people. You're such an awesome guy. So I'm so glad that we finally got you on the podcast. This has been a total blast for me.
Yeah, it's been great. And this took a long time.
It
And
was
again,
worth the wait though. That for me though, I feel like it was worth the wait.
yeah, it was great. And again, I just want to give you a shout out
Oh,
to the other stuff I'm doing with you with the podcast training and things like
thank
that.
you.
Your family has really stepped up, and you
Thank
really
you.
do help businesses and companies around Flagler and Palm Coast.
Mhm.
So just keep up the good work.
Thank
You guys
you.
really do. I did a few things for the Millionaire Mindset yesterday with your father, and it was good. So just, you guys do help. Just know that
Thank you.
we appreciate the work
Oh,
that you
I'm
guys
so
do.
glad. Well, we
Yeah.
can only help if people are willing to learn, and you're definitely always willing to learn, and you're a great student. So that makes it so much easier, is we can tell anyone to do anything, but if they don't actually do it, then it doesn't really matter. And I know you put in the work. So I appreciate your time today, John. I'll make sure I have all of the information to how to contact John, get to know, see if there's any questions you might have in the description. People can click, copy and paste, whatever makes it easier. And we do talk about the millionaire mindset series. We have an event coming up April 26th. And if you missed that, you see it a little bit late. We hold it every month on the fourth Friday. You'll see me and John there. And yeah, is there any last thing you kind of want to throw out there before I wrap it up?
No, again, just thank you for taking the
Right.
time, and
Thank
it was
you.
fun, and I'm sure we'll do it again.
For sure. Thank you again, John, for your time. And to everyone listening, I really appreciate you as well. And I will see you next time. Bye.